Bernard Tobin here at the Advancing Women in Agriculture Conference, joined now by Kay Kuenker of K2 Kinetics. Hi, Kay, and thanks for taking the time.
Hi, good morning.
Now, you've been speaking to the group here today on leadership, and we've a lot of things we can talk about in leadership, but I was fascinated with your thought on you really need to lead from the inside out, and before you can lead others, you really need to know how to lead ourselves. What do you mean by that?
So much of how we show up to others has an impact on the performance we can help them achieve or hinder them in achieving. So if we show up and lead ourselves in a fashion that puts our best foot forward and also creates a toward approach for other people, it will put them has a chance of putting them in their best frame of mind and therefore operate at their peak performance. If we behave in certain ways that put people on guard or under threat, even if unintentionally, and because we know how the brain functions now, it is enough to put them under threat and hinder their ability to show up and perform at their best. So the more we can manage how we show up and first of all, be aware of it, conscious of it, and choose it, we can get the best performance out of ourselves and therefore help others get their best performance as well. So it's leading inside out. Take care of yourself and your behaviors first, and that will help others also bring their best performance forward.
Now, obviously, you're speaking from a women's perspective, women leading in agriculture here today, and I want to go through some of the key points and the key principles that you have, especially from a women's perspective. And the first one you had was really about being yourself.
Yeah, and as I said in the talk, it sounds easy, and a lot of times it is easy because we can't be anybody else. But so many times when we're under stress or threat or different or a minority or unique in an environment, we try to put on a game face or we try to be something that we're really not. Whereas if we could just get comfortable and say, you know what, I'm here to do this. I might not know everything, but being authentic, people can see whether you're authentic or not. So and I said also in the speech that no one else can be you. It's a wonderful gift that we're given. And if we could just focus on that rather than being uptight about something we're not, that's half the game. So be yourself, show up authentically, and perform at your best.
Now, you talked about being confident, and I want to ask your perspective from a women's perspective here, because you mentioned men tend to be confident. We believe we can do anything, and we'll tell you that. But when women in agriculture, you really need to be confident, and you really need to express yourself in that way.
Absolutely, and as I said, it's sometimes more difficult for girls and boys and women than men to show that confidence. And I quoted a book by Russ Harris that confidence is really in two parts. There's the feeling of confidence that we all are hoping for, but is often missing when we try to do something for the first time. And there's the active confidence, and the active confidence has to come first. The feeling only comes, genuine feeling of confidence, once you're good at something, but you got to get there through practice and doing the work.
Being self-aware is so important.
Yes, taking note, being mindful, being conscious of how you show up. And if that's difficult for some folks, get a confidant to help you give your feedback after a meeting. How did I come across at that meeting? And see if it matched to your brand values. I talked about the importance of everybody taking time to write their personal values. What are those? And are you behaving according to those? In what situations is that easy? In what situations do you get derailed? And so being conscious of it, self-aware, is step one.
So, Kay, I want to ask you about a little bit about your history. You are now retired, but you're really active in speaking and consulting. But you're former VP at Dow AgroSciences. You're speaking to women in agriculture here today about leadership. What do you take from your experiences to a meeting like this today?
Well, 8 of the 9 years that I spent as a VP at Dow AgroSciences were as the only female on the executive team, and communication effectiveness and all about self-awareness and managing your triggers. I wish I would have known and thought more about that during that time, because I didn't, frankly. And the communication styles of men and women, it's a generality, but are different. And being conscious of that and choosing talking points, perhaps in a different style or language, is key to being effective and influencing a group when you're the minority.
You mentioned it's important to learn from your mistakes and move on. And you mentioned the fact that, sometimes men are very good about that. Stubbornness, stupidity, whatever we want to talk about it. But sometimes, women tend to beat themselves up. And you had some advice for the group.
Yeah, we ruminate relentlessly on the woulda, coulda, shoulda done differently. And we could learn from our male counterparts of saying, hey, crap happens, move on. And we just need to get some of that, hey, look at it as a learning experience. It didn't go as I wanted to. If I had it to do again, I might do it differently, but I don't. And so here we go. If I encounter that in the future, this is what my learning was, and go forward. And we all could use a dose of that.
And I think the bottom line, one of the things you talked about was, whether you're a man or a woman, you talked about speak and act with integrity.
It's fundamental to everything we do. And I can't say enough about it. It is the most primary character attribute that one can have.
Final thing for you, and obviously, you've had many roles, in leadership roles in agriculture as a woman. How do you see things changing moving forward? Where are we now? And, what are the opportunities for women in agriculture?
I'd say three different things. In the past, being the only female on the leadership team, but I didn't really think about it in that way. I didn't dwell on it, okay? And I think that matters. Attention density, we get what we put our focus to. So if I dwell on being the only female and that consumes my energy and my mental focus, that's not a good way to spend it. So think more about being impactful and the right communication and the right behaviors, the right values. Live into those. Today, this conference, which started several years ago by IRIS-MEC, the attendance used to be minimum under 100, and now it's grown to, I don't know the number, I'm guessing around 500 people. That's tremendous. These are all women in agribusiness and a couple of brave men souls thrown in. So just that attendance speaks volumes. The third thing I would say is if you look at the data from McKinsey or HBR, we still are woefully underrepresented, not in the entry levels and not in the workforce. In fact, women are generally higher number than 50% in hiring and higher number than 50% in the workforce. But we still drastically lag in the senior leadership positions. So we still have a ways to go there.